better. It is time for game 1 between Oxygen and Caesura. Caesura, I guess, just giving himself Terran. He plays quote-unquote random, but I think he usually just picks his race beforehand with like dice or something. And then, giving him the Terran pieces today. Oxy going for Protoss. Formerly in the top right part of the map, now leaving his spawning location, probably to go to the gold base, it is our red Terran player, Caesura. 2 Hearthstone players, very, very obviously. I will crush you! Well met. Well met. And in the top left part of the map, it is his opponent, the Protoss player, also on Team Swanky, Oxygen. Now, you guys don't necessarily know the history. You don't know the backstory between these 2 players. Caesura, many of you are well aware of, our Australian 16-year-old friend who has been to Korean Masters once upon a time. Now hanging out on NA Platinum. Hasn't really played too much ladder. Oxygen, on the other hand, a guy having clawed his way up into Platinum over the past season. He's been practicing quite a bit. And Caesura tells me that Oxy can actually beat him in a straight macro game pretty well. But that Caesura still feels that he can take him when he plays in these weird, strange games like he is right now. So basically, we're seeing a man play to his strengths, and we'll see how well that works out for him. Now, unfortunately for Caesura, every game that I've ever casted where somebody's lifted off and gone to the gold as Terran, that guy has lost. I know the tactic can work sometimes, but I've never been present for that, not even once. So my hopes are not really all that high for Caesura here, but we'll see. It really comes down to whether Oxy scouts very much or not. Now, Case won't. He makes an abject point of not scouting. He wins most of his games by just having a lot of stuff. He's kind of that evidence that a person with perfect macro really probably won't lose all that much below Diamond, really. And he doesn't. It's really interesting to see him ladder. But, here we go here. Cybernetic score coming down. No scouts from Oxy yet. Unfortunately, to pick up on this, all you really need to do is go to the Watchtower. So this guy will not necessarily even be aware that you actually know he's doing this. But so far, so good. Looks like so far, though, Caesura is actually going for the slightly, like the really blunt, obvious version of this tactic, which is to just go for a ton of Marines. Because, I mean, basically this is like having an entire base's worth of mules. But this particular tactic, unfortunately, tends to lend itself to being very, very limited in tech. So what a lot of players will do is they will go the Mass Marine thing, and then they'll grab a factory in order to augment it a little bit with a Widow Mine or 2. It can be a very, very strong play when done properly. And having seen pros do this from time to time in various tournaments, the amount of stuff you can have is frightening. Although, as you can see, even for players like Caesura, it can get very difficult to actually spend all this money that comes in. He's even getting mules, which is actually a little bit of a waste of energy. When you're using the gold base, it's actually better to just drop supply rather than mules, because mules are just SCVs on gold bases. They literally do not mine any extra. Unless, of course, you just want to have another SCV and you don't want to build anymore. In which case, cool. Go for it. Do whatever you need to do. Oxy, on the other hand, let's see what he's doing up here. He's building up money for Nexus, picking that up, and he's chrono boosting out Warp Gate. So it looks like some kind of either Warp Gate pressure, perhaps faster DTs that he might be going for here. Meanwhile, Caesura has actually already built up a Marine army, and he can push up here and cancel this base very, very, very easily. So the real question is, what is Caesura going to do right now? Looks like he's already getting to move out, hanging out by the Game Heart logo in the middle of the map. Forces moving out across the map. Actually, a very nice train of SCVs also following this. So Caesura is going completely 100% totally all in right now, which unfortunately will probably not work. This Mothership Core already has a Photon Overcharge. And yes, he might be able to cancel this Nexus. Oh wow, Case is just completely ignoring it, running up the map. If he can get the Mothership Core, this is going to give him a very good position in this game. Out comes the Photon Overcharge though, and with that, it's going to pretty much force Caesura back. He's going to come down here, make sure he gets that guaranteed damage. But the cancels already occurred on the Nexus. Mothership Core is being unbelievably brave, does not want to lose that. Will he lose it? Nope, he keeps it just barely. The Marines and the SCVs getting ready for cat. No, loses the Mothership Core. This actually could go really, really badly now for Oxygen, who's lost all of his defensive forces. Needs to rebuild that thing really, really quickly, because this is only going to last for a minute, and this force isn't going to be going away anytime soon. If he could have kept those 2 Stalkers alive, could have kept his hopes and dreams alive, but unfortunately it's looking very, very scary for our Protoss player right now. 1 Stalker warped in range of the army is going to be taken out almost immediately. No, but he does get the second one warping in. Still looking pretty good for our Terran player. In come the forces. The photon overcharge is now gone. Probes have been pulled. There is no backup for the probes, however, so it's SCVs versus probes and Marines. And yes, his opponent may be down to basically no mining. Both players are now in this position. The real question will be, can he micro this mothership core to the extent that is necessary for him to kill 12 Marines? The answer is no. Well met. GG.